Welcome back to ReadingBear. Today, we will take a look at some new IDoWorkHereLady stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first story is titled, Yes, I Am in Charge. This is my first time posting and it's about an incident that happened when I had turned 27 to 28 and was part of an electrician apprenticeship program through my local of the IBEW, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and was entering my 5th year of the 5-year program, basically making me the equivalent of a high school senior. In July of that year I was working with one of the largest electrical contractors in my city and was assigned to work at one of their contracts for one of the local, largest oil refineries at one of the multiple plants they had in area. In July the apprenticeship starting sending out what were UN indentured apprentices who had not yet started classes but were working to see if they would qualify for the program and had a lot of new faces arriving daily. Since I was a senior apprentice I was placed in charge of the apprentices that were part of the wire pull crew that did multiple 1,000+ foot wire pulls daily to help complete the new process unit we had been assigned to do the electrical construction on. As we made our way up the many platforms and ladders at least 40 feet into the pipe rack and into the cable tray that supported the cables and wires, I would pass out position assignments based on Seliminate levels. After 2 pulls we all got down to take our morning break. I noticed a new face amongst the crowd hanging around our little break area where we had our toolboxes, gang boxes, lunch boxes. I saw one guy sitting on top of my lunchbox, square ice chest. I approached him and said, "Hey buddy, I guess you didn't notice the name written all over the lunchbox you're sitting on. Who gave you permission to sit on my lunchbox?" The new guy stood up and looked up at me, being a few inches shorter than me but also looking to be in his mid-40s. "You can't tell me where to sit and not sit. Who put you in charge?" At that moment the younger guy he was talking to stepped between us and led him away. After the union-mandated 15-minute break, me and my crew were gathered around the wire pull foreman little blueprint shack to get ready for the next 5 pulls they had planned. At that time a few of the new faces show up led by the union steward who introduces them to the foreman as we broke up to go to our assigned locations. As usual I was at the front of the pull lifting the wire up from the ground level. Over the walkie-talkie radio I heard a lot of chatter and felt the wire being jerked from behind me despite having a seasoned crew working. Multiple calls on the walkie-talkie demanding whoever is pulling and jerking the wire to get in rhythm and not pull so forcefully, since we were at that moment pulling data wire that had fiber optics inside which could be damaged. After the pull and tie down of the wire I rushed down my platform to the ground after my foreman called us down on the radios. At this point I am livid and seeing red. I finally get to the bottom with my pull partner next to me trying to calm me down. I stop when I see my foreman yelling at the same guy who sat on my lunchbox, "Are you some kind of idiot? We might have to do the entire pull all over again because of you and your pulling of the wire despite Nasty telling you over radio to stop jerking the wire and to stay with the pull count of 1, 2, 3, pull." The guy looks down at our barely 5 feet 4 inches foreman and looks like he is going to punch him. I proceeded to run up and stand at my full 5 feet 11 inches height between him and my foreman when the hole opens his mouth. "Get the hell out of the way, this is between me and him, who the hell are you anyway to act like some big shot?" I calmly stood there and my foreman as cool as a cucumber goes, "Hes actually your boss, the one in charge of the wire pull, and you just broke his perfect pull record of 400 pulls and no issues." "A hole, my boss? He can't be, he is just a kid probably barely 21 and he is telling me what to do." Me, "Yeah that's right, I'm your boss. Old man, because I'm a 28-year-old 5th-year apprentice and you're over 40 barely entering the program, I'm also your senior in the union roles. That's why I make the max $25 an hour to your $12 an hour, because I have more time on my electrical license than you do." He stood there with the realization that he was up the creek without a paddle because he thought since he was older that he would be placed in charge of things. The union steward showed up and stood before him between the two of us, then turned to me and asked, "Nasty, what's going on here?" The look of realization on the new guy's face got even wider and he actually got pale when he realized the name on the lunchbox, over the radio, and the one the foreman mentioned were all ME. As I explained the situation and how the new guy had basically ruined at $100 per foot 1,000 foot wire pull, the new guy turned even paler when he did the mental math and I mentioned $100,000 cost of that ruined pull. The union steward looks at him, then at me, then at him, and asks me directly, "Well, nasty, you are in charge of this crew when in the air, so what do you want to do with him? Move him to another crew? A different plant? Fire him since he is not officially in the program yet?" The new guy almost looks like he wants to faint as he looks in my angry eyes, silently pleading to not fire him. Start the termination proceedings if Chaps, Chaparro or Shorty, the nickname we had for foreman, agrees with me, since he is a financial and safety liability, since it's obvious he can't control his anger, let alone listen to instruction. My foreman looks at the steward with a gleam of joy in his eye. I want him gone, not from the refinery but the company and the local. The next one is titled, "Manager tells me I can't carry a gun while working." A little setup. Years ago, I worked at Walmart. This was shortly after they changed the uniform to a vest. This was my day off, and I stopped in to buy some ammo to go get some target practice. I was dressed in blue jeans, a black shirt that had a skull with 2 middle fingers up and the wording, "Don't F***co with me," on it. Definitely allowed as a customer but not an on-the-clock employee. I also had my daily carry on my hip. Alright, so cast is me and assistant manager, AM. I walk in and back to the sporting goods counter. I pick out the ammo and pull out my card. AM walks up. "AM, you need to leave. You can't wear that gun while you're here." Me, "Why not? We get customers wearing them daily." "AM," he began getting louder, nearly yelling now, "they don't work here." Me, "And no one would know I did, if you hadn't just told them. I work in the back. No one here knows my face." He turned and walked away. Epilogue. I worked the following day. I went in, and he was waiting by the time clock. First, he pulled me into the office before I clocked on for a write-up. I requested the store manager, SM, to be there. SM shows up. AM begins to write me up. I refuse to sign acknowledgement until I clock on. SM tells me to go clock on. I'm now 15 minutes late, store policy was 7 minutes at most. I do so and go back. AM tries to write me up for insubordination from the previous day. I explain to SM what happened, and he agrees that I can't be insubordinate on my day off and that I was within my rights to wear my gun on my day off. We all leave the office. An hour later, AM calls me back for another write-up. This time for clocking on late. Again, I refuse to sign until SM is present, who proceeds to write up AM for harassing me with a write-up for a situation he forced me into. The next one is titled, "Manager comes to talk to customer." Customer says, "Who is this? I told you to get your manager up here." So this didn't happen directly to me, but happened to one of my managers. I was the original employee trying to help the customer. Sorry this is so long. Anyway, I work at a grocery store and always work the closing shift, so I end up dealing with some pretty rude customers frequently. A few weeks ago I encountered one of the rudest customers ever in my 3 years at the grocery store. Now this happened at about 9:30 at night, and I was one of 2 employees still working the front end to help customers check out their groceries. It had been a very busy day, so my coworker and I had to split up to get everything done. I stayed up front to help the customers while he was finishing the tasks we needed to get done, and because I was alone only the self-checkout was open. There had been no customers for a bit, so when I say a customer start checking out her groceries at the self-checkout, I walked up to her, said hi and asked if there was anything she would like help with. She was very polite, said hi and said she didn't need help. So I walked away and kept myself busy with cleaning. When she finished and went to pay, her card was declined. Knowing that something had gone wrong, I walked up to see what was going on. Seeing her card had been declined, I told her what her options were. 1. She could try her card a second time, as the systems and pin pads at the store weren't the best. 2. She could use another form of payment. And 3. I could transfer her transaction to one of the regular registers where she could try her card again and it would tell me why it was being declined if it got declined again. Still being polite, she opted to go with the first option and tried her card a second time. Again her card was declined. This is when things went south. She turned to me with the look all Karens have and said very rudely, "Fix this." I walked back up to her and said, "Your options are still the same as before. For me to do anything I would have to transfer the transaction to a regular register." She declined and tried her card again. It was declined for a third time. Again she said, "Fix it." Now, like I said before, it was a busy day and I was stressed and tired, so I was getting annoyed. As politely as I could I said, "Ma'am, like I said before, I can't do anything about this unless I transfer the transaction to a regular register." She wasn't having it and responded, "No. You can fix it here." Once again I said, "Ma'am, like I have said 3 other times, I cannot do anything about this unless I transfer the transaction to a regular register." She really didn't like that, and out came the line I really didn't want to hear: "You are being effing rude to a customer. You can't do that. Get your manager up here now. I won't let you get away with this." I looked at her in surprise, then thought, what the heck, why not? Nothing I'm saying is getting through to her anyway. So I walk over to the phone and page the manager to call the extension of the phone I was using. Apparently the manager was close to the front of the store, so rather than calling the phone he just came up to the front. When I saw him I went up to him and said, "Hey manager, this customer would like to talk to her. Her card won't go through and she's not letting me do what I can to help her." As I turn around to point out the customer to my manager, her jaw drops and she becomes even more angry and said, "Who is this? I told you to get your manager up here. This is just another customer. Now get your manager up here." Now the managers don't have to wear the same uniform as the rest of us, which is blue or black jeans, a solid color collared shirt, an apron with the company name on it, and a name tag. The managers just have to wear business casual clothes and a name tag. And that is what my manager was wearing, and upon hearing this my manager said, "I am the manager, my name is Manager." He pointed at his name tag and continued, "What seems to be the problem?" The rude customer then starts ranting, "I tried to pay and my card isn't going through and this employee isn't doing anything to help." All she did was say, like I said, multiple times very rudely, and saying nothing can be done here, that she has to transfer the transaction. She should have just fixed it here where all my stuff is. And now I have tried my card 4 times and my phone says I have been charged 4 different times. Now this might not sound like she is speaking rudely, but through all of this she is dropping an F-bomb like every other word. After the rude customer finishes her rant, the manager turns to me and asks, what needs to be done to help her. He asks because he is one of the managers that doesn't know a whole lot about what is done up front at the registers, as he is a grocery manager. I respond saying, I would have to transfer the transaction to a regular register and have her try her card again. The system will then tell me why the card is being declined. My manager says to do it, so I transfer the transaction to a regular register and say, "Ma'am, please try your card again." She trudges over to the pin pad. I gesture to groaning. And what a shocker, her card got declined for a 5th time. The system gave me a message that basically told me I couldn't do anything about it and that the customer would have to contact her bank to figure out what's going on. She was not having and erupted in yelling directed at me and my manager. She was claiming that her card had been charged for a 5th time, but that's not possible with the systems we have. Now, like I said, the manager that night didn't know a lot about the registers. He knew how to cashier, but he didn't know what to do, so he says he has to call the assistant store director to figure out what to do. He does so and we wait. During this time more customers are coming through and need help, so I remove myself from the situation and help the other customers. At some point my manager gets the card to go through and the rude customer leaves. I did overhear though that because she had claimed that her card had been charged a total of 6 times, that the assistant store director would call her in the morning to sort everything out. After the rude customer left, the manager comes up to me and asks, "She was rude, right?" And I reply, "Yes, very." The manager goes back to his work and the rest of the night is pretty much uneventful. I thought I had heard the last of that rude customer, but the next day the assistant store director talked to me about what had happened and wanted to get my side of the story as well. I told him everything and he nodded, saying he thought so, and told me that the customer had told him that I was the rude one and refused to help her. Luckily for me, the assistant store director knows me well and knows that I would never be rude to a customer. He also said that my story matched the story that the manager from the night before told him. Thankfully since then I have not had to deal with this customer again. But working in a grocery store there are always rude customers, and according to my coworkers I seem to have to deal with most of them. Just my luck, right? The next one is titled, Yes, I Help Here. Hi, I'm a 13-year boy and Corona times struck hard for my mum. She is now a co-owner of our family restaurant, and as you probably expect it was hard work also. This is a short story and my first. Onto the story. I started helping my mum with carrying food up the stairs to the customers while my sister did the PIN device, but one day I needed to do the PIN device because my sister was at a party. I was helping customers and loads of customers were friendly until this man showed up. I did the normal thing until I asked for his name. I politely ask, "What's your name?" He responds very angrily with, "Are you serious?" I got startled and I almost fell off my chair. I ask what he means and he responds again very angrily with, "Hell no, I am not dealing with you." I say, "If you're not dealing with me, you'll have to deal with it yourself." I'm wasn't trying to be rude. He responds, "Do you even work here?" I say I do. He says that I'm not, and if I don't admit it he will find my mother like the little trash bag I am. I say my mother is downstairs but I'm upstairs. Too bad you don't have the guts to get past me. This time, since he was being rude, I pointed my rudeness to him. He becomes more angry and walks away. And also I use the word say a lot because I don't want to deal with the names and all. Also I say in the title that I help there, but it's basically work because my mum also gives me $10 every time I work. The next one is titled, "Customer Complains Because I'm Too Good at My Job." So this happened yesterday. I work at your favorite neighborhood grocery store. If you're an American you can probably figure it out. We're known for being super friendly and helpful, and to be fair, at my store at least, it's pretty easy because most of our customers are pleasant people. There are the occasional bad eggs that you run into, and I came across mine in the last hour of my shift. I'm 28F, the section leader for the grocery section of the store, canned, most dry goods, oil etc. So I was standing in my aisle when an older white woman approached me asking for dried black beans, but unfortunately they were discontinued several years back. This grocery store is known for carrying essentials but also some specialty items, and things get discontinued all the time. We don't carry brand names and have a limited selection. Most people that shop there understand this. So I told the Karen, "No, we don't have those, I'm sorry." She just stares at me saying nothing, so I repeat myself thinking she didn't hear me. BC masks etc. After I repeat myself she says, "I used to buy them here." So I respond saying, "Sorry, but we haven't had those in the time I've worked here." By this point she is clearly upset and says that she's going to go ask up front, where there's always a manager, and she winks at me and continues saying maybe they'll give her a nicer answer like, "I'll go check the back for you." So now I'm pissed. BC the witch clearly is threatening to complain about me to a manager. Normally when I come across a difficult customer I try to disarm them or I just let it go, but this lady just really pissed me off, so I told her, "Well ma'am, I write the order for this section so I know we don't carry that item. I'm sorry I wasn't nice enough for you, but no matter who you ask the answer is still the same. We don't have it. Have a good day." So she huffed off and I continued writing my order. There happened to be a coworker of mine in the aisle when it happened, along with a couple other customers, so I asked my coworker if she heard the exchange because I wanted a third-party opinion on how I handled it. She said she thought the lady was clearly agitated and that I kept decorum, and if she needed me to be a witness she would back me up. I wasn't really worried about how I handled myself because I know I wasn't rude, but you never know if people will lie or how a manager will take it. A little while later a manager approaches me and I tell him I know exactly what he's there to talk to me about, and I explain my side of what happened. He said my story matched up with what she said and that I wasn't in trouble, but that she was disappointed in the lack of effort I showed. He said that even if I have to go to the back room to walk around in circles just to please the customer, that I should do it. Well, I refuse to do that. I know my section like the back of my freaking hand. I bust my ass every day breaking down pallets and stocking my section, many times by my damn self. I'm not gonna tickle the balls of any witch because she doesn't trust my answer, knowledge of my place of work. If she can't trust my answer, then she or anyone shouldn't ask me, because at the end of the day I'm damn good at my job and I know WTF I'm talking about. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please subscribe and post some star emojis in the comments to support me. See you again tomorrow.